Our experts are tracking trends as we look ahead into 2022. The circle of sales success is one of those topics to keep your eye on. Our own Shari Pash will keynote this session, and today she's giving us a sneak peek in our Sales Connections segment. Welcome, Shari.
Hey, Julie, it's great to be here. And I always love talking sales and growth for companies and nonprofits. So I'm excited to talk about the circle of success.
Well, I'm excited that you're giving us a sneak peek at what's ahead. This is a signature speaking engagement that you're being asked to do on repeat, the Circle of Sales Success. I imagine it's such a hot topic because so much of sales as we knew it really went out the window during the pandemic. Shari, how important is it to really have a process and foundation in place for your sales work?
Julia, I think it's one of the most important things that a sales team can do, even if you don't have a sales team and you're responsible for growing your revenues, that you've got to have that foundation set. No matter if it was pre-pandemic, during that pandemic, or now that we're into the recovery, we've got to have that sales process solid. It's a fluid process as we set that foundation and consistency, really. So I like to think of it as a circle of actions that take your sales to that next level. And some of those things in there we'll be talking about are researching, finding those right prospects, the relationship. These have all changed during the pandemic, but that relationship piece is always the same. The actual sales process and revenue goals, we have to have those outcomes and measurements, and then how do we retain them? So as we move forward in the year, we want to make sure we have our strong circle set for sales growth and success.
Okay, so when you talk about the circle of sales success, you're actually talking about this circular process. I'm listening to hear this sneak peek. We don't want to give it all away, but I really like what I hear you saying because it really is moving from one action item to the next. Now, most industries have tools to complete a job or their work. In marketing, we sometimes call it like our tool chest or our toolkit. I know you do in sales as well. Like what kind of tools are we talking about here?
You know, that's so true. I always call it your toolbox. You can never have enough tools or new tools in your toolbox. And sales tools do need to be refreshed, especially now. And as we sell into recovery and as we move through the year, we have to make sure the tools in our box are sharpened and practiced. So just a few of them might be things like a discovery worksheet. Are we discovering the priorities and motivations of our customers, clients, and members? And those discovery worksheets need to be updated. And if you don't have one, that's a foundation for closing more sales. And then we have to have those benefit statements, Julie, that talk about why what we do or the product we have is important to the purchaser, the client, the customer, the member. So benefit statements have to have that for every revenue producing area you have, basically.
Shari, you've mentioned some of these tools in prior episodes, so we'll link to those here with this video. If you're watching on TV, head to our website. We'll link to it there. If you're watching on YouTube, just look below and we'll have it there for you. Okay, Shari, so once these are in place, once these tools are in place, how do you go about starting to find prospects for your business?
You know, some of the things that you can do is actually looking at your lost business report or your drop member report. We want to know who's not sticking with you, who's not doing business with you, because that's going to drive where you look for prospects, right? We don't want to keep repeating what's not working or what we lose or doesn't come to fruition. So we want to work on really finding your best prospects. And you do that again through personas and profiles that define the type of company or the person that are the best prospects for you. And when you think about your profiles, they really target those prospects that generate the revenue you need for growth. Sometimes you can just find all the customers you want, but you need it during a slow period where you have a gap or a certain type of high revenue type producer. So we want to make sure we know who we're going after. Then once you understand who your best prospects are, then we can determine where they hang out and where you should be hanging out to build a relationship with them digitally, you know, in print, in person. So a lot of ways that we can start to formulate that. And we'll talk a lot about that in this session.
So what you're saying, Shari, is to go back to basics and grow from there. Is that what I hear you saying?
That's exactly it. You've got to get back to those basics. Make sure you have strong tools, strong measurements, because again, in sales, you've got to measure your trends constantly. So get back to the basics exactly.
Shari, one final question. What's one thing that you notice that businesses or membership organizations tend to struggle with when it comes to the sales process?
I think it's one of the very first steps in all of this is to set our revenue goals, is to set how many new customers or accounts or members we want and how much revenue do we need from each of those areas. Because with our goals, we'll know a lot better where we want to target prospects, right? We can just go find any customer, like I mentioned a minute ago, but we want to really make sure that we have goals for numbers and also for revenue. And that's a really important piece that a lot of people forget because we want to be able to measure and have that success piece.
Shari, thank you so much. The circle of sales success, one of those trends to keep your eye on in 2022. You'll find a lot more online from Shari, including a link to learn more about her talk on the circle of sales success. Just head to our website, expertconnections.tv, and click Sales Connections. You'll also find us on YouTube. Check us out and subscribe.